Hello, my name is Paige. Welcome to my channel. So I love tag videos. I don't know what it is about them, but I always want to watch tag videos. Every time I'm scrolling through and I see a tag, I instantly click on it or save it to my watch later. And let me tell you, that watch later is long right now with a bunch of tags that I want to watch. I think it's just getting to know somebody a little bit better, getting to know their reading taste, seeing how different people answer different questions. It's just so interesting to me. They're easy, fun things to watch while I'm eating dinner, while I'm eating lunch. I don't know, they're just so entertaining. I love them. And I've been wanting to come up with one for a while, but I couldn't think of anything interesting that I felt was tag worthy. But a couple of months ago, I was laying in bed trying to remember a book that I could not remember for the life of me. And then I started to wonder if there are other frustrating things that happen for readers. And so this list of questions came about because there are some things that frustrate me as a reader. Some of these might not frustrate other people to the same degree that they frustrate me, and I want to see, do these things frustrate you as much as they frustrate me? So I've come up with 10 questions that are varying degrees of frustrating, and I have ranked them for myself from least frustrating to most frustrating. So if you like these questions and would like to do this tag also, please make sure that you share the video with me so that I can watch it. But here's question number 1. Name a book you predicted would be 5 stars, but was not. So this question makes me think of Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Hilary Sons. I honestly thought that this would be a 5-star book for me. Everything about it just sounds so good. Everything that I would love in a book, but something just fell flat in it. I don't know what it was about this book, but I just did not feel very much for either of these characters. I liked them, I enjoyed my time, I felt emotional at certain points of it, but I just did not fall in love with it the way I expected to. The writing was good. I liked the writing because I do like The Inexplicable Logic of My Life by Benjamin Hilary Sons. That's one of my favorite books by him, but this one just did not connect to me the way that I thought it would. It was only a 4-star read, wasn't a 5-star. A little bummed about it, but it is what it is. Just a little frustrating when things don't turn out the way that you hope for them to. Question number 2 is, I can't read that, that's really tiny. What book had a great beginning but an ending that let you down? And for me, this is a no-brainer. If you have watched any of my other videos about books that I don't like, you will know that I do not like this book very much because of what happens towards the end. This is Autobiography by Christina Lauren. This is another one that could have answered last question, what book did I think would be 5 stars? I honestly thought this would be 5 stars, and I think it is now a 2-star book for me, maybe even a 1-star, because of one plot point that happened towards the end that was so unnecessary. It did not need to be in there. If that part was taken out of this book, it would not change anything about it. This one let me down at the end, and I did not care for them to end up together. If they would have all ended up alone, I would have been thrilled, because whew, this one made me so mad. I'm already getting frustrated. Question number 3 is, do you have a book with a pretty cover but an ugly spine? I'm interested what people think about this one, because there are some books that I think the covers are so pretty, but then when I put them on my bookshelves, I don't want to look at them because I think the spines are just not cute. They don't match the cover, the feel of the cover, the colors of the cover. They like change the spine for no reason when the cover is beautiful. For me, I really don't like the spine of American Royals. I think this cover is beautiful. I really just like this cartoony effect. I love the colors in it, but you turn it to the side and it's just not cute. I don't like the way the spine looks. It's just kind of meh. I don't know. I just think it's so ugly. Compared to the front, it's not as cute. Why did they do this? Why couldn't they have continued on with this beautiful blue pattern in the back and put it on the spine? Would have looked great. I don't like the spine. Cover, beautiful. Do you guys have any spines that are also hideous that you don't like to look at? You almost have to face your books out so that you don't have to see this. What is this? Not cute. Question number 4 is one that might not bother people, but it might bother others. Do you have a book series that doesn't match? Maybe some are paperback, some are hardcover, some might be different covers because they decided to change the cover art midway through publishing. Do you have any of those? Do they bother you? I actually have quite a few, but the ones that I pulled off my shelf were my editions of the Divergent series. I bought the first one in paperback, could not find these 2 in paperback when I went back to the store to get them, but they were used, so it was worth it just to read them. But I don't like looking at this on my shelf sometimes because I don't like when books don't match all the time. It just, my eyes draw straight to them, and then I know that they don't match, and then I think I should go spend money to make them all match, and that's pointless because I'm not gonna read these again, so why would I need another copy just to make a match on my shelf? It's a dilemma for me. I have a few others. I also have some that I got in both paperback, but the paperbacks came in different sizes. Why? Why did that happen? Number 5 is actually the question that inspired this entire tag. Is there a book from your youth, your past, a few years ago, doesn't matter how long ago, that you can remember only certain parts of, but you cannot remember the title and you cannot find it anywhere? So my story with this one is that there is a book that I swear I read when I was in elementary school, maybe even middle school. All I can remember is that it had a necklace, that this girl wore a necklace that she found, I think, when she was working at a summer job at like some Victorian historical house. I remember that when she was wearing this necklace, she was seeing like visions of the past, or even seeing ghosts from this Victorian house, and like piecing together some mystery that happened at this house. But no matter how many ways I word this in Google, no matter what I search, I cannot find this book anywhere. If you're hearing my cousin screaming, we love that. But no matter how hard I've tried to look up locket, girl, finding mysteries, Victorian house, summer, jobs. I can't find this anywhere. It's like this book doesn't exist. Like I made it up all in my mind, which is like very possible. But I know I read this book and I remember loving it. And I wish that I could find it so I could reread it again, because I feel like I read this book multiple times because I thought it was so cool that she was able to see the past and she was able to solve this mystery. I even think that there's a point where one of these visions that she has a bus falling off of a bridge or something into a river. Like, I don't know if I just made all of this up, but I cannot find this book anywhere, and it makes me just want to scream because I want to find out what this book was and if it was any good. But whew, it's so frustrating when you can't think of the name of a book no matter what you do and how much you search for it. It's not there. So I might never know what the name of this book was. Question number 6 is a little bit similar. It's, are there any books you're certain that you've read, but you cannot remember anything about them? I actually have 2 books for this question. The first one is A Separate Piece by John Knowles. I am certain that I read this in high school for a paper that I had to write, but I don't remember anything about it besides a tree. That's about it. I have gone back and read the plot and none of it clicked. It was like this book was read by some other version of me, because I don't remember reading this at all. I don't remember any points of it. It just, none of the details stuck. And that's also kind of the same with Gathering Blue. I'm like 50-50 if I've actually read this. I know when I was interning before I student taught, I was in a 5th grade class and I had to do a reading group with a couple of kids, and they were reading The Giver. And I remember having to go buy that book so that I can read all through it so that I could ask them questions while we were in our little reading group. And then I remember my cousin telling me that Gathering Blue was even better than The Giver. And I'm pretty sure that me and the reading group moved on to this book, but going back through the plot, reading through it, even on Wikipedia, I don't remember any of it. None of it rings a bell, and this was only a couple of years ago. I don't know if I've just never actually read it, or if maybe I only read a chapter and then put it down, but I thought that I read this one, but none of it is in my mind. None of it is in my memory. Has this happened to anyone else? Number 7 is, have you ever recommended a book to someone, a book that you loved and you thought that they would like it too, but then when they read it, they started to tell you everything they don't like about it? Or in other words, do your feelings get hurt when somebody doesn't love a book that you absolutely love? For me, I am pretty protective of my favorite books, and I hesitate to recommend them to people, especially if I don't think that they will love it to the same degree that I do. So this happened recently when I recommended Wolf Song by TJ Klune to my best friend. I honestly thought that he would like it. I didn't think that he would love it, and I told him that. I said, it's kind of weird. I don't think you are going to enjoy it as much as I do, but I love it so much. Like, this book was so precious to me. Please don't hate on it. And he hated on it. He got through it. He didn't absolutely despise this book, but he hated a lot of parts and struggled with getting through it. And I think he told me that he had to skim through the last bits of it because he just felt too sad. But it hurt my feelings because I love this book so much. I had a lot of emotional attachments to this book, and hearing him say that he did not feel the same way was just heartbreaking. And I'm terrified if he ever reads The House in the Cerulean Sea and doesn't love it to the same degree that I do, because it's like a piece of you, and when they don't like it, it's like they don't like that piece of you, and it doesn't feel good to me. I don't know if anyone else has that same attachment to books where they don't want their favorite books to be torn apart. Am I the only one? Am I the only one that this bothers? Ooh, number 8 is one of my favorite questions on here. It's, what is your worst experience loaning a book to somebody? Here's my experience with this one. When I was in middle school, during my Twilight phase, everyone wanted to read Twilight, and I had the book. I loved it. So my family all wanted to borrow it, which at that time, I was okay with lending my books out. I'm still very protective of my books, so I don't love giving my books out to people because I know my family. I know how they take care of books. So I was very hesitant when my cousin asked me to borrow my version of Twilight, but I let her because I was very nice about it at that time. And I just told her, be very careful. It's my favorite book. Be careful with it. She was not careful with it. I got it back, and it was soaking wet. The entire cover had come off, and she had taped it back together. I was so mad. She said that she had it in her backpack and her water bottle opened and spilled all over it. And after that, that became my loaner copy. I ended up with 4 different copies of Twilight. I had the one I loaned out to people, which was the water damage taped up version, the movie paperback version, the paperback that I read, and the hardcover version. And I never let her borrow any of my books again because I could not trust her after that one. It broke my heart. It's hard to let people borrow your books and not know how they are going to care for them the way that you care for your own books. It takes a lot of trust to give people books and hope that they return it in the same condition that you gave it out to them. I've since forgiven her, but I probably will still never lend a book to her because she burned that bridge with me. Number 9 is to show me some of your impulse buys that you have never read. You know, the ones that when you walked into the store, you were just feeling all magical in the book buying mood, and you saw them and you just started adding them to your pile. Or the ones that you were scrolling on midnight while you were online shopping and just they magically ended up in your cart. Or the ones where the price was just too good, you could not turn them away. Show me those books. It's okay. I haven't read some of mine too. I did get rid of a lot of my books. They're all kind of sitting in the back of our cars while we wait until we can give the books back. But here are some that have not made it into the back of my car. I was a big Philippa Gregory fan. I liked a couple of her books, like The Other Bowling Girl, The Kingmaker's Daughter, and so I ended up getting all of these used, and I've never read them, and I don't think I ever will read them. I tried to read this one and I just could not get through it, but the price was so good. I want to say that these were like $7 each. How can you turn that down? So what are some of your books that you bought impulsively that you still have never read and might never read? And finally, just so you can hate me a little bit more, how many unread books are on your shelves? Don't just say a lot, go count them. I want to know. So I only put my books that I physically own onto my Goodreads want to read, just so I know the number at all times, how many I have not read. And right now I am at 68 books that I have not read that are physically on my shelves. 68! I think I only have an additional 100 books on my shelf. It's almost half of my books I have not read. Are yours any better? Are you doing better than I am? Or is it much worse? It's okay. It's okay if you have too many books. You will read them someday. All right, those were all of my questions. I had a really fun time making this tag. I really hope some of you want to do this. I will tag everybody that I wanted to see do this in the description below. If I don't tag you though, I would still love to see your videos. Make sure to send them to me after you have done this, if you choose to. I really, really want to see if anyone has some of the similar experiences that I do. And hopefully I didn't frustrate any of you too much. thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you liked it. I'm just so glad that I've met so many of you. You are all so supportive, so kind. I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much, and I will see you later.